what is going on, guys? Hockey Guy 1 here. Welcome to my review of Godzilla King of the Monsters. So Godzilla King of the Monsters is directed by Michael Dougherty and stars Kyle Chandler, Vera Farmiga, Millie Bobby Brown, Bradley Whitford, and Sally Hawkins. So the story takes place 5 years after the original and is about the humans who kind of have to make this big decision about the Titans, whether you're to protect them or kill them because they are dangerous and you might want to kill them and have to make a big decision. So for the positives, you do have the action scenes, which are very engaging. Like, each time you get Godzilla fighting the other Titans, it's very fun to watch, and it's really engaging seeing these two threats fighting each other and going through anything with a lot of stakes at hand for them. And it's just really cool and fun to watch about. Obviously, some characters like Godzilla aren't really the most well fleshed out characters, but honestly, Godzilla and the other Titans, all we really expected from them is to do a lot of cool things while fighting and pretty much being awesome while looking like a threat. And honestly, I could see that with their characters, and that's really all you need of them, because they're just monsters and not really expecting them to have much of a personality. And I really like how they wrote their characters acting like monsters, and really is looking cool throughout. Kyle Chandler does do a pretty good job as Mark. I mean, he's trying to do the best he can with what he's given, and he really does look like he wants to be there and is actually trying to deliver his lines well, which is a pretty big surprise because he really doesn't happen that much with badly written characters. But he does do a pretty good job in this movie with his acting, and it really feels like the character because of the way he delivers his lines. Vera Farmiga as well does a pretty good job in her role. I mean, she does the best she can with what she's given, and just basically just does her best. Millie Bobby Brown as well did a pretty good job for a kid role, and she did really feel like the character with that, and did do a pretty good job considering she's a kid actor. The visuals aren't the best, but there are the character designs, which I really liked, especially Godzilla. Like, I like the looks of him and how he's this tall figure and really intimidating and looking very convincing as well as he does. Put a lot of money in it, I can tell, because of how realistic he looks, as well as the other Titans like Mothra and all the other Titans look pretty convincing for what they are. I mean, and it looks very and pretty convincing. And the score is really good. I mean, it really matches each of the moments and does really make the action feel more intense, which is what makes the action what it is. And I really like that. They used the right score elements to make it feel that way, and make the audience feel a bit more into it, and I really like that. Cinematography is really good. I mean, you do have the big atmosphere, which makes it feel good, and as well as the camera angles in the cinematography. I mean, they look really good, and I mean, they use the right ones for the right moments, and I really like that. There's no really unnecessary camera angles. They all just really work for the moment and do capture each scene well. With that said, this movie does have plenty of negatives. I mean, the story is just very bland. I mean, it's nothing special. I mean, it's barely progressed even, is like the worst thing about it. I mean, it's just kind of just the humans have to make this big decision whether to trust And it barely progresses because 90% of this movie is action. I mean, if you look into the structure, the first act kind of just sets up the story, but then the second act's just mostly action with a couple scenes, and then the third act is also pretty much nothing but action. Like, the story barely progresses throughout it, and that does not really help it out too much at all, and it really does mess it up a lot. And I mean, I really enjoyed the action, but at the same time, it does ruin progression of the story and doesn't help the story progress at all, as it really just feels like that it's all between the first act and then it just doesn't progress after that. And the pacing is really bad. I mean, because of like the amount of action there is, it just doesn't feel connected at all, which makes it have bad pacing. And again, like I said earlier, the first act barely connects with the second and third acts. I mean, and there's just not much story progression, which is what also makes for bad pacing. And it just feels much longer than it needs to, because this movie does overuse action and half of its runtime, making it feel much longer than it should be. The human characters are just very poorly written. I mean, Mark and Emma, our main protagonists, are just really poor. I mean, there's barely anything to them. I mean, they're just basically people who care a lot about their job and tries to make it look like they care about their kids. Because of what happened in the last movie is what they kind of used for them and to make us try to feel for them, but you can't really feel for them that much. I mean, that's not really sad. I mean, they just try so hard to make you feel for them because of that, but they really just care about their job a lot, and just all of a sudden they care about their kid by the end, and it just doesn't really feel like good development. I mean, it feels very forced and just doesn't really work that well for the development. Almost Madison, the daughter of Mark and Emma, I mean, there's really nothing special to her character. She's just like the scientist who wants to live a normal life, but that's about her entire character. I mean, she runs away from her and kind of does some things in the climax, and honestly, that's like one of the only things her character really does that really drives her, and it doesn't really feel like she grows over the movie, which is what kind of makes her feel like a pretty poorly written character. The other part of the cinematography that I thought was bad is the lighting. I mean, usually it's not that big of a problem, but in this movie it definitely was a problem, because you can barely see what was going on because the lighting was just not good, and it really shows it. And in multiple scenes this is as well. I mean, it's not like it's in one or two scenes. I mean, if it was only that, I could give it a pass, but this was in about multiple scenes, like at least 4 or 5 scenes where there were stuff that you can barely see. Overall, Godzilla King of the Monsters is another very mediocre Godzilla movie, and is just really full of positives, but also full of negatives. And I'm going to give Godzilla King of the Monsters a 5 out of 10. That was my review of Godzilla King of the Monsters. What are your thoughts on Godzilla King of the Monsters? Tell me in the comments below, and I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.